Hey, how's it going? I pulled some cards and talk about them. Oh, signage. Okay. Man, right before I started doing this, I guess I'm having a hot flash or something. Or else it's this light. I don't know. I don't remember ever heating me up this way before. It must be a hot flash. Anyway, I pulled two cards, and the first one I pulled was from the Shaman, the ShamWow Oracle. Shaman's Dream Oracle card deck. And it is card number 34. And it is Lay of the Land, Ancestral Wisdom. And this card, immediately stuff jumped out at me, because on this rock protrusion from the ground, I guess, which is very odd looking. It looks like plates or some kind of thing. Or actually, the first impression I got when I looked at it was, I don't know if this is a thing anymore. It probably isn't, but at the amusement park Coney Island, there used to be this ride, and it's in a lot of shows about either the time or the place or history of New York. You know, Coney Island at that time would show up a lot because a lot of people would go there, and it's good for filming stuff. And there was this ride, and the floor had it was like a floor, and then sort of embedded into the floor were these big circles, and they rotated, and I think they just rotated in random directions. Like I don't think that they were calibrated to go like all clockwise or whatever. And so the ride, I guess, was that they let the people on, and then the floor would be going, and I guess the object was to make your way from one side of the floor to the other while navigating these spinny things. And I think they kind of like threw people around, and I don't think it was as gentle as the teacup ride at Disneyland, where you're sitting in a teacup and it has like a steering wheel mounted to the floor, and you're turning the wheel and that turns the cup, and that's very different from trying to walk on a moving surface. That was like a lot of rides in antiquity else. Well, that's further back than I mean, but just old like black and white film depictions of amusement parks. Like the floor would do this, or I don't know, I guess they were sort of limited in their capacity to think of things to excite people for 6.5 minutes, whatever it is. Anyway, and then upon reflection, I thought that they could be some sort of like information discs, ancient information discs. I don't know where that's supposed to be. I don't know what planet it is. I know that there's a person up on that rock there, and also that I feel like that's the moon, but it's sort of, you can see, but hey, if it's another planet, they could do different stuff with light there, or the light company at that planet, the light itself could be different because it's a different planet. Oh my God, what am I saying? So the reason why it jumped out at me is because obviously Lay of the Land was someone standing up high on a promontory. They're going to be able to see far. That was not my hit, though. What it was is I immediately thought of this person at a peak in their life, And it's something that I came up with in my journaling when I was like a teenager, because I was just sort of noticing that in life you'll be going along and sometimes it's just, you know, neutral and whatever, and something will come along and upset the calm, and it'll be some kind of calamity, like you know, some bill or something that comes out of nowhere that you don't really have room for in your budget, and that will like mess you up for a period of time until you can recover from that. And it's disruptive, and it's, I mean, I wouldn't call it a tragedy, but it's not good when that happens. Or, you know, it could be something even worse. I don't even, is my shirt on backwards? I bet it is. Oh, it's not. Okay, I don't know why it's strangling me. Anyway, just unforeseen circumstances. Someone could die. Someone could be born. You could lose your job. You could get a job. Your car could mess up. You know, it's a crapshoot. But when you're at a peak and you have a chance to look all around you at the lay of the land, which could be a number of things in your life, but I think in this instance, especially since it's what the guidebook also points to, is that you have been through some stuff, and for me, that's the climbing the incline to the peak. You know, like whatever, all of the stuff you're going through, I guess, never mind. But the climb would represent the struggles, basically, that you went through to get to the peak moment where something totally awesome is happening, and it's just, you know, everything. And you can, from the peak, look back at like what you did and sort of remind yourself like of what happened, kind of how it happened, and if there's some sort of lingering emotional sticking points that you need unraveled or undone that you couldn't when you were in the middle of it. In retrospect, and from the height of a peak, you're able to see a lot more, and including like maybe what your part was in something that didn't go great that you weren't able to see at the time, and maybe didn't even consider that, oh, you know, this is not going well, but I may have a hand in causing that. I know that, I don't know, I mean, I guess it was when I was younger that, you know, you just say and do stuff and maybe think about it later, you know? But a lot of times, you won't need to have that as an issue, because in the middle of it, you'll realize, oh my God, I just screwed up really bad. And anyway, you can, from a peak, look back and see how things went, and, you know, like I said, preview or view your mistakes or whatever, but then you kind of have an idea going forward what not to do. You may not have the exact same circumstances, but, you know, in a moment, something could come to mind and go, oh yeah, I remember when that happened and I did this instead of that, and it worked out well, you know, like, I feel like that's the kind of stuff that I got anyway out of it, and I feel like that's also what the card is speaking to. And it says ancestral wisdom. I did mention that the discs on the ground looked like some kind of ancient, I don't know, like maybe that was that era's disc. Like we had floppy disks and compact disks and all of those things. Well, a clay disc tablet would definitely precede all of those things. But, you know, it's just an image to sort of, you know, interpret from. But I could see how, I mean, I don't think they're a ride for real. They just sort of, just a passing resemblance. But they do look more like some type of tablet or some kind of old way to store information of some kind. And I guess I'll go ahead and read this real quick. Lay of the land. Past lessons, being well informed, ancestral wisdom. There are times when you're meant to discover and explore new terrain in your life, even to be a part of a wave of change. This is one of those times, and what you're contemplating is perhaps new to you, but others have laid well-worn paths and left wisdom for you to rely and reflect upon. This is so you have a better understanding of the potentials and possible pitfalls on your journey. When you know the lay of the land, you're better able to fully experience what's being offered to you. This is a wonderful time to seek a mentor or good advice from an expert or elder. That way, you will be able to meet life's opportunities and challenges well informed. Knowing you have a map, now you can be curious about what else is here. This is a path that promises success in all areas. Where others before you have dared to tread, you will discover the treasure they have left behind for you to make your own. So while I was reading that, I realized that I pretty much only talked about looking backward, and as far as looking forward, I mean, it's unwritten, so the best anticipation I think you can do is imagination. You have a goal that you're shooting for, or you have an understanding that, you know, whatever you're doing is going to continue in some way. It may change. It may be doing something else, but that is perhaps yet to happen. But what I think forward, mostly what you can see is like I said, imagination, but hope and whatever as yet unformed substance the future is going to be. I think it needs to take form with the help of, you know, imagination and expectation, and probably other things. I can't really, like, address the future much more than that, you know, and even if I could, I think probably the less said about it, the better, especially for people that can't glimpse stuff, because that, I think, in a way takes the fun out of it. And, well, anyway, the other card I pulled from the Wild Unknown Spirit Animal card deck is the Unicorn. And the Unicorn, well, they talk about this sort of in the book, but and I'll get to that. But what I noticed about it when I was looking at it, because I pulled it after the first one, and so I had my mind kind of on the amorphous future, I guess. And when I started looking at this card, I thought, you know, and this is kind of aside from what the book says, but as far as unicorns are concerned, I could believe that they're a thing, because I think, I believe that there are parallel dimensions that have occupants. And they, this place is an exception for all of the people native to this world. Well, I guess I shouldn't say all, because some people are endowed with abilities to be able to see things that many of us cannot. But I believe that, like Bigfoot, they come here, and because this world is like sort of a separate unit, or the occupants at least are sort of separate in a lot of ways from the consciousness of other beings in other places, like dimensions and worlds. But they can travel very easily from their place to our place, like the I know the Bigfoot are so infuriating, but the Sasquatch, I guess. But I feel like when they're like there in the forest and you're looking at them and they just kind of like step aside, I always feel like they're sidestepping, like just right into, like right out of this dimension and someplace else, either to their like den here or to another dimension. But something I came across recently about other dimensions is that the parallel worlds, aside from being like right next to us, are also a parallel of this world, like Earth 1 through Earth 32 or whatever it is. So I feel like the unicorn is from one of those worlds. And when I looked at this card up close, it kind of looks like the Earth, and it kind of looks like the moon, but it's like a different planet. And also, it and the unicorn are like not quite fully drawn in, like not quite fully in focus. Like all of the lines are not completely met. I don't know if that makes sense, but they're not solid, they're not bold. And it's almost like they can, the sort of beings that can travel so easily from like dimension to dimension, I don't feel like it's a way of moving that we humans naturally do or can do. But I think they sort of just, I know it's like vibration has to do with it on a level, vibration / consciousness. And I think that's how they're able to just like be there and disappear. But for like, I was trying to come up with a number of years, but beyond count, this beast, this being has been a thing. And I know they try to tell us that, oh, it's a rhinoceros or some other thing, and it's like when they try to say that mermaids are manatees. It's like what were the pirates on? Hallucinogenics? If you get up close to them, which they would have, because the manatees, especially, you know, when discovering the New World was a thing, and apparently that's where the mermaid manatee thing came from. Well, what were they on? Had they not seen a woman? Had they forgotten because they'd been at sail for so long? I think the real things were around, or have been around, and for reasons that I'm not even going to try to go into here, because it's going to be all speculation, and it's like a whole other thing. So I'm just not going to go there. But I believe that they're a real thing. I have no doubt Sasquatch are real. But I think they can come and go as they please, just like Sasquatch can. And I think that they have some way of just sidestepping out of this reality and out of the way of us, or out of our way, so they don't have to run into us. For the people that can like give this some credence, even just the idea of a unicorn, there's so many stories, I think, but I guess I have heard of a couple where the unicorn is violent and is goring people and stuff, but my goodness, I don't think anything is 100%, you know, anything from this world is 100% good and angelic and perfect. at all times. I don't think it's humanly possible. I think a lot of people come close, but I also think that when you hear stories about sort of heroes of humanity like Nelson Mandela or Mahatma Gandhi or the nun, God, what was her name? She was like everywhere taking care of the poor people. Sister Theresa, is that her name? Oh man, I might be tripping out, but there was a nun, an old nun, and everyone like worships her and thinks that she's just like God's a gift. But all three of those people I named, like Nelson Mandela is remembered for, you know, surviving his ordeal and becoming the leader of his country in Africa. But there are also stories where he was a ruthless sort of counterinsurgent and killed people or tortured people or just was what we consider a bad guy, but not all the time. And I don't think people in the position that he was in countries that were in the condition that his was in at the time that that stuff was happening, it was what happened. It was the way things were done, and it was a long time ago from now. So I'm really like wanting the way things were done on so many levels to transition to the next thing we're doing, and it's going to be a gooder and better thing. But how did I? Oh, yeah. I think that it's sort of an impossible ideal to uphold, to be like perfectly even-tempered and well-behaved all the time and not have some level of the polar opposite. Like, I don't know how you do that without having some sort of brain surgery. Okay, I got way off track. It doesn't even make any sense. Here, well, okay, let me make some sense. So the unicorn, yes, I think like the Sasquatch, we called it mythical, but I think it's real. I think the reasons why we don't see them or see them for such short periods in such odd circumstances that we don't believe our own eyes, I think that's part of what keeps them out of reach of perception for us, especially the unicorn, because you don't hear a lot about sightings of these, but if you look on YouTube, you can certainly find some, or I have. I don't know if those would have been scrubbed now. I would have seen them certainly at least 2-3 years ago. I swear this is backwards. It is backward. It's inside out. Okay, I don't care about that, but I gotta turn it around. I knew it was choking me. So, anyway. Excuse me. I don't like something sitting right on my hyoid. That's not... I've seen too many serial killer shows or true crime. Do I have time? Oh, okay. I'm just going to read this and then I'm going to go. Unicorn. Connecting to higher wisdom or divinity. It's difficult to see, hear, or think of a unicorn without immediately questioning if it's real. Did they ever exist? Perhaps long, long ago? The mind answers maybe, or it could be, or no way. This very contemplation explains our relationship with divinity and encapsulates our wavering belief in the unicorn. We wonder what divinity is. We wonder where our intuition comes from and if we can really trust it. We think about a higher power and our mind hesitates between yes, no, and maybe. Is it male or female? Does it have a name? Is it just a feeling? The unicorn card appears and wakes us up to curiosity about the higher self and the divine. It is a card of questioning, exploring, and contemplating the inexplicable. The eye's mind knows there's something beyond our day-to-day lives, a deeper dimension to our experiences. The mind's eye reaches and reaches and reaches out to grasp everything. Oh, sorry, something more. You are the unicorn, and you have begun your quest for the answers. The unicorn and the sixth chakra. It's no surprise the subtle essence of the unicorn card resides in the third eye, the exact place from which the unicorn's horn extends. This center is called the Ajna chakra, or command center. The ancient yogis believed it to be responsible for our intellect, intuition, and deepest wisdom. Some say our two eyes see the past and present, while this third eye peers into the future. The future of the unicorn! Sorry. So that was kind of very different from what I had to say. I'm not saying she doesn't completely have a point, though. And certainly, according to the stuff that I've been sort of ingesting for years on this sort of spiritual stuff, that tracks. That it would be a divine animal of mystery, and you have to be, I would think, in a certain receptive space in order for a unicorn to show itself to you, or a Sasquatch for that matter. So those beings, I believe, are also very close to source, or they're definitely source beings, and definitely divine creatures, because I don't know, there's a lot of stories of all these hostile Sasquatch trying to attack people, and I'm going over. I wanted to stop. Anyway, I guess that goes along with what I was saying earlier about not being like 100% docile all the time. My thing is, I think that if they do like throw stuff at you or charge you or otherwise scare you and make you uncomfortable, or even like do some demonstrative act where I know that they will do stuff to your vehicles or to roads so that you can't access the area that they're in, or they'll screw up your car and everything so that you'll get the idea, like, don't bring your car here. In fact, don't come here. That is what I feel like is the message. Because they are here, they have a task, a duty, a mission that they are engaged in, and we do not know how to let things just be. We gotta know, we gotta Karen, and goodness gracious, I do not want a Karen to meet up with a Sasquatch. I don't think that a Karen could, though, because of the state of mind thing that I was talking about. But a Karen might make a Sasquatch actually physically reach out and smack someone. A Karen. That was humor. Thank you and good night. I insist it was.